Hello friends, today we are going to talk about attacks in network security. Talking about the term attacks, what does attack basically mean? Attack talks about attempt to destroy, expose, alter, disable, steal or gain unauthorized access to or make unauthorized use of an asset. Giving an example for this, in network security, the most important thing which we call upon is data or information, right? Now, what in network security would be the price of this data and information? It depends on the type of the data which we have. So, hence, if we want to protect the data from various attackers, we need to have multiple encryption and decryption techniques. But this all multiple encryption and decryption techniques flow away when I'm talking about the attacks in network security. So this data can be easily lost, stealed, or it can be manipulated for their own purpose by the attacker or the hacker. The attacks are classified in network security in two major types, that is passive attacks and active attacks. Talking about the first one which we have is passive attacks. Passive attack, the term or the definition says that the goal of this attack or the hacker is to gain information or the information that has been transmitted in the message. The definition itself says that the attacker or the hacker is aiming just to gain the information which is present in the message. The attacker or the hacker is not interested in malfunctioning or misusing of the data. Just by gaining the data, I could come down to some analysis is what is passive attack. Now, passive attack itself is classified into two major types, release of message content and traffic analysis. So let's talk with the next one, that is release of message content in passive attacks. Release of message content, basically as you can see in this diagram, I have two people, that is Bob and Elise. Those are my senders and receiving parties. Bob and Elise are communicating with each other on, let's say, an email message via an email communication, whereas Darth is the one who is acting as an evil party here. Now, what is Darth basically doing? Darth is spying over the information inside the email message, though it has been encrypted. So, this is known as your release of message content. Spying over the message or finding the information inside the message is known as your release of message content. Coming to the next attack, that is traffic analysis. Traffic analysis basically talks about monitoring the frequency and length of the messages, even encrypted. Nature of communication can be guessed here. It basically says that, just a very simple example, if I'm talking about to check the communication channels or the communication flow during the V hours, that is during the peak hours, that is morning hours and the evening hours, you would easily find out that the social networking sites are plunged at that particular time. That is, lots of hits happen during this time. Whereas if I'm talking about the mid hours, that is during the work hours, social networking sites don't have that hit hours during this time. So what do I come down to a conclusion from this? That during peak hours there are people who are using social networking site, but during mid hours people don't use social networking sites so oftenly. So traffic analysis means whatever messages are flowing in the given particular area, checking the content of the message. Is it an image, is it a audio, is it a video, what kind of a message it is it an encrypted message, is it a plain text message, is it formatted, not formatted, all can be coined down in traffic analysis. So here we end with our passive attacks. The next which we have is active attacks. Active attacks, as in passive attacks, I've been already told you that passive attacks, they don't try to modify the content of the message, whereas active attacks, yes, modification of data stream or creation of a false data stream happens in active attacks. That is, somebody has spied over your message, hacked your message, and after hacking your message, the person is using it for their own benefit, is known as your active attack. Now, active attack again are classified into three major types: masquerading, session replay attack, denial of service attack. Coming to the first one, that is masquerading attack. The masquerading attack says the intruder pretends to be a particular user of a system to gain access or to gain greater privileges than they are authorized for. Giving a very simple example for this, in an organization there are levels which have been created: high level, middle level, low level. Every level is having its own data, that is own data flow. The higher level will be able to see all the data flow within the organization, whereas the lower level will be only able to see the concerned data for its level. If any level is trying to overcome the given benefits to it, that is known as masquerading attack. And how is it possible? By gaining access of any middle level, that is gaining access to the username and the password of the middle level, a lower level person can find out the data or the data flow in the middle level. Clear? Coming to the next one, we have session replay attack. Session replay attack basically talks about an hacker steals an authorized user login information by stealing the session ID. The intruder gains access and the ability to do anything the authorized user can do on the website. A very simple example for this again would be like session ID. Coming to the point of session ID, let's first talk about how stealing of information can happen in a session ID. As you could see in passive attack, traffic analysis basically talks about what is flowing in and what has been flowing out inside the given network. If I could find out that what is going in and what is going out by looking at the network, but looking at the packet, that packet is time constrained, that is, it follows within certain time constraint, right? Finding that time constraint, I get the packet. Once I get the packet, what do I do the next? I try to find out the username and the password present inside it. If also the hacker gets the username, password can be found out by multiple attacks. That is why brute force is one of the best attack which could be done on the password. Finding the username and the password, the hacker can get into the website, or the hacker can get into any login platform wherever the user is using that same, and use all the details present on the login platform for their own self. Coming to the next, I have denial of service attack, where the users are deprived of access to the network or web resource. The best example for this is, this attack can occur at a completely admin level. That is, the person who is trying to perform this particular attack needs to have a very well knowledge about router, routing, how to assemble a router, how to make the router work, how to fail the router work. What is the attacker going to do here? The attacker is basically going to try to get into the router, that is, get into the router by its user ID and the password. Once the attacker is getting into the user ID and password, the attacker overwhelms the router with n number of messages which are not actually the data messages. It just floods the router with not required messages. Hence, flooding the router makes the router unable to cope up with the actual request of the user. If the router is not able to cope up with the actual request of the user, what is going to happen next? The user is not going to get the network services, hence giving to denial of service attack. So by here we end with the types of attacks which we have. The next we go for is questions, or the overview questions which you can help for yourself by getting and yeah, these are subjective questions, they aren't objective questions, but surely we'll upload objective questions for the same. Thank you.